Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 3, Episode 24. Sorry, 34. Forgive me. It's called Young Man's Fancy. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This episode features a newlywed couple who return to the husband's childhood home, his mother's home, because they're preparing to sell it, and they've got the realtor coming over to sign some papers and sort of get ready for their honeymoon. But of course, the allure, the pull of the spirit of his mother kind of gets in the way a little bit. So we'll go in a bit more depth, of course, as we talk about what happens, but that's the basic gist of it. So we'll get into it. And the first thing I want to say, it's called Young Man's Fancy, right? Ironically, this is episode 34, which is Rod Serling tells us in his opening spiel that our main character of Alex Walker is 34. I call such bullshit on this number. This man is like 50. There is no way he's 30. That's our age. He is not our age.
He does look older.
He looks way older. If this couple's meant to be our age, then like damn, the 50s and 60s were rough.
I think we can confirm that, yes.
The 34? No way.
I missed that, honestly. I didn't hear that that little detail.
The dude looks like he's 50.
Well, I think the point is that he's not they're not like newlyweds in their late teens, early 20s. Like a lot of people got married straight out of high school in that time.
Sure. I mean, that's completely fair, but don't lie to me and say 34, right? He looks like 50, maybe even mid 50s. Honestly, he's not. This is not a 34-year-old. This is nonsense. And they never say what age she's supposed to be. She definitely looks older than 34 as well. Maybe not quite as old as him, but definitely older than 34. So all like I'm like bullshit, Rod.
Like you said, times were tough.
Times were very tough, apparently. So yeah, so they come into the house, and generally speaking, it's about them getting ready to sell it. But he's clearly got doubts, and he's starting to hesitate and maybe change his mind. And it's kind of that tug of war that starts off very subtle, then very passive aggressive, before it becomes outright just arguing about what they're going to do in the second half of the episode. And there's some Twilight Zone things as well that goes on, which we'll get into. But Tara, what did you make of Young Man's Fancy?
I like this one. That was pretty good. I think it's a neat Twilight Zone twist on a man who can't step away from being a mama's boy. Actually, I think it kind of reminded me of a Sex and the City episode while watching it, with a similar story. Not quite the Twilight Zone parts.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of the four is this woman in this, if you're comparing them?
Charlotte.
I don't know which one that is.
Actually, I was thinking this actress looks a lot like the actress that plays Charlotte. They have different hairstyles, but they actually look very similar.
Which one's Charlotte?
The brunette.
The brunette. Okay. Yeah, that does it. Yeah. Okay, I know the four of them based on hair. That's the best I can do for you. And that episode's okay. There's things I like about it. There's some things that I like how it handles some small details. I do think that the actor who plays Alex, his performance, in fact his real name's Alex as well, I'm just noticing, which, okay, fair enough. Alex, either way. His performance, I do think, is a little less than subtle at times. There's a moment later on in the episode where the realtor or whoever is there to get him to sign papers, and the way he walks towards the kitchen table to he's struggling the whole way, and he's got this look on his face, and he's sort of like, I don't know about this. I'm like, all right, you calm down. You maybe overselling it just a touch, but there's a lot of little things I liked in this episode. I think there's the obvious stuff, which is that a lot of the things in the house don't work, right? There's a clock that doesn't work, a big grandfather clock doesn't work, which later on the episode starts to tick. There's a jukebox that doesn't work. There's a bowl where he tells a story early on that, mother used to put, fudge or something in that bowl, and later on there's fudge there, and so on and so on. And all these things kind of are set up in the first half that are all paid off as they all kind of change in the set. Even something as simple as him saying, I bought her some new kitchen appliances right before she died, and then even if you didn't really pay attention to the kitchen appliances when we were in the kitchen, when they changed to like really old-fashioned looking stuff by this era's standards, I mean, because by our standards everything in this episode's old-fashioned, but
you can tell when it's older though.
Yeah, so there's all those little setups, but there's a lot of little things as well, where just little touches with like when he's looking at some of the knickknacks in his trunk, or talking about why his mother's kept certain clothes, and she's kind of making little comments, or he's like straightening up photographs on the wall. There's all these little things sprinkled in, these little details that have a little extra dose of irony, or a little extra layer of like trying to like regain control throughout the first half, where he will be distracted by something, or he'll want to do something, and she will step in and say, oh no, I'll do that, you go pack, or no, remember we spoke about this, and so on and so on. And I kind of like that. I don't think it's a great episode. I think maybe the idea is kind of a mishmash of other Twilight Zone episodes we've already had. Mainly the dangers of nostalgia theme is back in here in full force. It's not on its own, because there's also kind of the big hint of the mother being controlling, and like her hold on him is really strong, and that's what's kind of bringing him back. But the ending does make it clear that it's him, it's not her spirit that's doing this to him, it's his own nostalgic pull that's doing this, for lack of a better thing. So yeah, there's definitely stuff, there's definitely elements of that throughout the rest.
I think I enjoy this one more from the perspective of a female, of like trying to not like replace a mother figure or whatever in someone's life, but like fear of becoming a mother figure in a man's life. You know what I'm saying? Kind of, like in the beginning, I thought the episode was going to be that she was becoming the mother, because she was kind of taking control, and we don't really know too much about his history with his mom and what kind of relationship they had, but it seemed a little bit like he was a forever bachelor, possibly because nobody was good enough for him, according to the mom. So like she would do these little things that were almost matronly, or like or commanding of him. I'll take over, I'll do this, you go do that thing we talked about instead. That, I don't know, it was just a very, like, obviously the theme of nostalgia you brought up is in here pretty heavy, but it's also like a very real issue that I think a lot of people have, just letting go of being a child around their mother, or trying to search for their mother in a woman, in a partner. And that I think I latched on to while watching it.
I think that's definitely there. I totally get it. I think what murkies it up a little bit is that she never like has this realization and sort of steps away from it. She's like she's gun-ho about becoming.
She's just trying to win.
Yeah, she even says like, he's mine now, you can't have him back. Like, she fully buys into this fight that she is becoming the new woman in his life, and it's a direct competition. I think there's even one line, I can't remember what the exact line is, but there's even a line at one point that made me chuckle a little bit because it sounded kind of funny in context, which was, it was something like, it wasn't this exactly, but it was something like, now I'll do for him what you couldn't, or so. And it was something weird that it sounded, because she's his wife and not his mother, it sounded like a really weird thing to say, because it implied that it's something that a mother should do for their son, but obviously they wouldn't. But I don't know, there was a weird, I don't even know if it was even meant as a sort of slight innuendo, if it's just like a modern read on it, but there was definitely a line in there that somewhere where it was like, this is getting weird, this comparison.
I mean, there could have been like
weird.
an Oedipus complex thing going on with his mom, that's why he couldn't let go of her.
It's a little Norman Bates when he like gives in to her and sort of,
it's very Yeah, I mean, I think that's there maybe a little bit if it may be implied at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
It's probably more Freudian than it is like than it is actually sexual.
Oh, for sure. I always say that there was like one line that made me sort of like not even think of that. I never even considered it seriously. It was more just one line just sparked like a connotation of that, but clearly it was. It was because when he turns into a little boy at the end, because the ending of the episode is that the mother actually appears, but says that it's not her doing that this is happening. It's actually, and then he turns into his own little boy self, and he's like, "No, we don't need you anymore," and slams the door, and he wants to go to the zoo and get ice cream and stuff.
Yeah, I think this can kind of be translated as like the forever bachelor, the man who can't commit because he still doesn't want to accept that he's he's not a kid anymore, or he can't be an adolescent anymore, and like that kind of I don't want to say failure. I mean, a lot of people just don't believe in marriage or whatever, or being with one person, but I think maybe in like Twilight Zone era, this was a thing where people would see it as a failure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's elements of just not growing up as well. Like, there's just a refusal to let that part of him go. And I think it's fair to say there's a healthy part of your childhood that you should keep with you, but there's also an unhealthy part of your childhood that many people keep with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it's supposed to be just like the shadow of the mother is always around and not being able to grow up because of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot that you could take from this episode. I think it's pretty good, actually.
And I think if you look at it from the wife's character, I mean, one of the little details I really liked is when the realtor's leaving after Alex has said he's going to not sign the papers yet, he's going to think about it, and it's this awkward moment. But as he's leaving, he accidentally calls the wife by her maiden name and then corrects himself, and it's just a little sign that even he's sort of like picking up that this is doomed, like this, even he's noticing that this is falling apart. But it's actually her who has the horror movie like sequence where she's going through the house and the clock is working and the fudge is there, the appliances all change,
and she's losing him.
But it's almost like it's she's losing him, but it's like a literal representation. I mean, obviously the fact that she actually stands and talks to her like the dead mother at the end kind of murkies it up a little bit and makes it more overt, but up until that point it's more just like a metaphor for like his past is like invading this relationship, and it's taking over. And even if the actual appliances, even if the clock is not there, even if the mother's dead, the relationship and the memory of all this is still very much alive, and that's kind of what it's all representing by all coming back. Obviously the ending being Twilight Zone, they can just go full force with it and actually have it. And part of me thinks it was the right choice to have her appear there, because it's a creepy moment when she looks up at the stairs and she's standing there. And while I often champion like holding back a little bit and being a little bit more nuanced and being a little bit more ambiguous, I think in this episode, because it maybe did feel a little derivative of previous Twilight Zone episodes, it kind of needed that extra punch at the end just to put it over the line and just give it that final blow. So
yeah, I enjoyed when she says like, it's not my fault, like I'm not the reason I'm here, it's it's your husband, he wants me.
And she
not you.
Runs out the house and Rod says, yeah, well, that marriage didn't last very long. Off we go.
Right.
I mean, there's obviously some other things we kind of glossed over, like there's all the little things that he does kind of do early in the episode, because there's a lot of setup in the first half where it's him telling stories and stalling, and I'll give it some
getting kind of giddy over little knickknacks and stuff.
I'll give it credit that it does kind of have that, like you know exactly what this fight's going to be about, and it's always going to happen. Even though I do think I love, but a little bit of it's on the nose at times, especially in the performances. It does have that kind of, it's not to the same level by any means, but it has a little bit of that midsummer, like, this is this is ending in a very bad conversation. This ain't going well. This relationship is doomed, but only one of them is aware of it.
But everyone else is aware of it. Everyone else in the room.
including the realtor. I think that's the thing, you know,
Yeah.
when they're sort of like, when he says, no, I'm not going to sign this now, and she's like, but darling, we said we would. It's like, no, I just don't want to do it right now. I just want to think about it for a little bit, you know. So, yeah. I mean, I think I appreciate this episode. I think maybe the rating on IMDb is a little bit harsh at 6.6. It feels a little low.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is pretty low.
But at the same time, though, I don't think it's one of the best episodes. I think it kind of is executed fairly well, but from a concept point of view, it's just a little bit derivative of previous episodes, maybe to truly sing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've certainly had nostalgia episodes that are better and some that are worse. And the interesting thing is that sometimes the better ones do happen later. They take a concept and they improve on it.
Yeah.
So, and I think this one at least has a new angle that I appreciate a lot in this episode. And I guess maybe if I had to take a guess, the reason that the people don't really connect to it as much is because it's not as punchy, maybe, or it's not as, it's like a very real world couple, you know, argument or scenario where I don't know.
No, I agree, but I think I agree with the sentiment, but I disagree with the point you're making in a way, because I agree that it is like it should be more real worldly, but that's kind of why I don't think it succeeds as much as it should, is because I think that if she was more like, because she is so like willing to fight for him, and she's so, you know, she keeps saying like, no, he's mine now, I'm going to make this work and I'm going to do this, and at one point she even says, I've been waiting for you for 12 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ, 12 years. That's a lot to get to this point. And I think because she is so dramatic about it, and because this is clearly a struggle that she's been fighting, you know, this struggle started long before the start of this episode, right? This has clearly been something that's been there, especially when the mother was alive. I think if it was a bit more, like, if she was just a little bit more down to earth and realistic, and it maybe, you know, conjured up in a more kind of natural way, as opposed to immediately going full, you know, and maybe that's not something you can do in 25 minutes. Maybe that's kind of the problem here. But maybe if she was just a bit more of a real person and felt more real, I think this would land better, because it is more of a down to earth like idea of like what this represents is this, you know, struggle for, you know, taking someone away from this strong parental tie they've got and having them grow up a little bit. But I mean, I can appreciate what it does, but I, you know, I see a higher ceiling that it didn't reach.
Well, all right. I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was actually pretty strong. It's definitely better than 6.6. I think that is pretty harsh.
Well, you know,
I appreciate that it was a different focus that we don't really get.
Yeah,
and not just Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and it was written by Richard Matheson, because I
we've had lots of episodes from him.
Oh, but I checked there, because I wouldn't have been surprised to learn that this might have had like a female writer, or at least a co-writer, but it doesn't. So fair play. There you go. But yeah, was it okay? I mean, I would say it's. I would say it's good. I'd say it's a good episode, but not an exceptional episode. But you liked it more.
Well, yeah, I think it's pretty good. But next week sounds pretty awesome.
Tara, it's okay if you say I disagree. I think it was better than what you're saying. You could say that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I disagree. I think it's better than what you and what other people apparently on IMDb think.
You do it in this sort of soft, like non-confrontation. Like, just if you think I'm wrong, just say I'm wrong.
I freaking like this episode. Okay.
There you go. See, go with the fire. Go with the fire.
It deserves better.
Yes, deserves better. Maybe deserves some younger cast members if they're going to claim 34. Anyway. So the next episode is called I Sing the Body Electric, and it is written by Ray Bradbury. That was an exciting thing for me to say. The only thing that I recall him saying in his little outro was a grandmother even in a factory or something like that.
I think that she was built in a factory.
She was built in a factory, okay. So here's the description via IMDb. A recent widower needing loving care for his 3 young children orders a cybernetic grandmother.
Ooh.
While 2 of the children accept her, one of his daughters fiercely rejects her with near tragic consequences. We're getting our Android
it's like
episode.
Bicentennial Man.
Yeah, we're getting an Android episode written by Ray Bradbury of all people. Excellent.
Actually, maybe Bicentennial. Maybe that is a Ray Bradbury story. Maybe they're based off the same thing. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe that was Asimov. I'm not good at science fiction writing.
Feel free to correct in the comments, everyone. I don't claim things.
They sound like similar stories to me.
Oh no, there's definitely a comparison. So that's what's coming next time on Z Twilight Zone. By all means, let us know what you think of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. All that stuff is super important. It helps the channel grow and thrive and all that stuff. But you can also support us financially. And also, I'm really smart.
Oh boy. I thought we agreed this wasn't going to happen anymore. You know, you forced me into doing this outro, and now you just want to sabotage it all the time. I don't approve. I don't approve of this.
I was sabotaging. I'm making a little joke. I'm just making a little joke as I pass over for you to do the Patreon plug.
Well, then start over.
You can also support us financially on Patreon.
That's right, Peter. If you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to these Twilight Zone reviews 1 week early. And some more bonuses for only $1. Thank you.
It's almost perfect. I'm pretty sure you hit your mic arm at the end of it. Just to
No, I slammed my mouse in
did you?
rage.
Okay. All right. Well, that was definitely the most professional Patreon plug you've ever done. That's right, Peter.
Mm-hmm. Hear me roar.
All right. Well, that is the show. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.